What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into Bio Studios. Today we're going to be working on a Tumbler project. Now, it is currently Teacher Appreciation Week for my daughter's school. It's almost the end of the year, spring is going into summertime, and they're in the last few weeks before they hit the summer break. Now, we wanted to do something cool for her teacher that we haven't really done in the past for any of her previous teachers, but we want to do something cool. So obviously we're going to do something art related. My daughter is in art, I'm in art. We're always making new things. Now this is a 20-ounce tumbler that we have already created. I'm going to include screenshots or little clips in the upper left-hand corner of us creating this thing. Now it is an epoxy swirl with a glitter finish. It is really gorgeous, and I've had it up on my shelf for a while now, on my trophy shelf, and I never really did put a final coat on it. We're going to go ahead and finish detailing this out, and we're going to go ahead and put a final Flynn Sister epoxy coat on it to lock it all into place. Now, what are we going to be adding to it? Now, she is currently getting married. We don't know what her last name is going to be, so we don't want to put like Mrs. Blank, best teacher in the world, on there. We want something just more fun to her. We do know that she loves Disney. Who doesn't love Disney? We love Disney. We love going to Disney. We love watching Disney. Disney all the way. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a Stitch tumbler. Now it already has an ocean theme type of look to it, as you can see these clips right here. But what we're going to do is we're going to paint Pudge the fish. We're going to paint Lilo underwater with her goggles. And then we're also going to paint a very cool sitting down Stitch with a splatter effect. And then we're going to use that Flynn Sister epoxy to give it a crystal clear layer. I will probably keep these painting videos in 3 different sections. 1, Pudge the fish. 2, Lilo, and then 3, Stitch. So you'll be able to watch those individually in really small, fine-tuned clips. Otherwise, let's go ahead and turn around and let's go ahead and get this awesome thing painted out with some acrylics. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and jump into this acrylic painting here. Now, as you can see, Pudge the fish looks absolutely incredible with his little peanut butter sandwich there. And again, we want to make sure the weather's nice, so we'll make sure that Lilo's down here in the water giving him that sandwich. So we're going to start off a little bit different than the previous video. Before I had just done the outline, and then I just went over it with the base coat. This time I'm going to try to see if I can use this acrylic pen here to give it more of an overall base coat. So we're just going to go ahead and sketch in the overall design here, kind of to get an idea of the proportions and things like that. And of course, this is a cartoon version of Lilo, so if it's even the smallest amount off in dimension size, then I'm not really worried about it. It's going to look very cool and very good when it's all said and done. The great thing about doing it this way is you can really just use the acrylic marker to kind of extend the outside lines if you need to. I will say that the acrylic marker isn't really designed for that. I just don't like the glistening, like really kind of a little bit tacky texture of that paint when it goes down on the tumbler there. So I probably won't use that as a full coverage again. I'll probably just use it as a means to do outlines. And as you can see, we did give the hair a nice ivory black base coat. And I'll go back throughout the process and I'll kind of touch that up as we go through the time lapse here. I'm also going to go ahead and start off the skin tone very dark, and I'll gradually increase the brightness of that as we go through the process of kind of detailing the skin and applying layers here. We start off with a burnt umber for the tone of the skin, and then once we build up those layers, we'll start to introduce more and more raw sienna. The raw sienna really looks great when it's kind of like blended in over those colors. And at first, when I got this completely done, I really thought that Lilo's skin was a little bit too dark, but my wife pointed out that Lilo would be underwater. She would be in a little bit of shadow and shade, and she's technically right. If I were to do like a picture of Lilo with like Stitch above the water, I think that I would go back and maybe add a little bit more red and yellow into that skin tone and apply, just try to like bring the warmth of it up a little bit more. But I'm really happy with how it turns out in the long run. So we're going to go ahead and start applying a little bit of shadow here, not going crazy, just kind of getting a little bit of the facial features, the eyes, the bangs, a little bit of the ear right there on the left-hand side of the face, the prominent round nose, and then I'm going to actually just change things up a bit. Originally, I was going to put the goggles in on this, and I know I said I was going to, guys, but I really liked how the face turned out when it was all said and done, so I decided to leave the goggles off for this option here. That way it's just not distracting from the actual Lilo itself. Maybe if I ever do this again with like a canvas or something like that, then I'll come back and apply the goggles to her face there. But for now, at least, just a fun light painting like this where it takes me only 2 or 3 days to get all of these little characters done on the base coat of the tumbler, we're going to kind of keep just things pretty simple here. So I will, like, every periodically, I'll go onto another portion of the body. So here in a minute, I'm going to jump over to the legs, and then here slowly I'll work my way back up into the face, into the arm again. So you just kind of go back and forth as layers are kind of curing up and drying, so that way you don't get any paint pooling on the brush here. You have a lot of canvas to go back and forth on. I'm really enjoying using my little like micro brushes here. This is only like maybe a 2.5, maybe 3-inch sketch on the side of this 20-ounce tumbler, but it's turning out really great so far. As I start to build up those raw sienna layers on top of the burnt umber, I'm going to leave a little bit of that burnt umber behind to show shadows. So the creases of the elbows, the underside of the elbow and forearm, and the hand would be obviously more dark, because that's just the curvature of the arm, and then that would be kind of underneath her, where the light from the sunlight cascading through the ocean surface right there. As you can see, the top layer of glitter is a lot brighter than the base, and that's just how it turned out. Applying more of that burnt umber there, and we're just going to go ahead and build up the same color kind of color combination as the rest of the body here. As you can see, the upper portion of her thigh and the upper portion of the foot does have a lot more raw sienna, and I will also lightly introduce a little bit of titanium white into that mixture just to bring the opacity up just a little bit to get a little bit better coverage. I'm also going to make sure that the orange and the red bathing suit is dinged out just a little bit. You can't make it just absolute orange and absolute red, so you see a little bit of cadmium red in there, a little bit of crimson, a little bit of alizarin crimson on the lower portion where it's darker, and then what I'll do is I'll use cadmium orange hue to go over these bathing suit lines again, and then I'll kind of dinge those out a little bit. So I'll apply a little bit more titanium white into that mixture on the upper portion where the sunlight's coming through the water there, as you can see, and we'll darken out the lower portions of it just to create a really nice different like transition in tone and temperature between the two colors, so that way you really do see that the light is coming from above, and then the lower portion is kind of like darkened out a little bit. I'll go over that with a light layer of washed out burnt umber when it's all said and done. And that just kind of dinges out the bathing suit and makes it not so like prominent where it draws the eye too much. Gonna go ahead and paint that little goodie bag. That's the bag that I guess she went underwater with her peanut butter sandwich to give to Pudge the fish. Then we're gonna go ahead and go over the hair with a little bit of titanium white streaks, and then I'm going over this with a pain gray, which has a little bit of a blue tone to it, a little blue gray tone, and then I'll give it a few more ivory black highlights here and there. I'll also go over those bangs again just to give them a little bit more depth. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a little end of the marker to apply some bubbles to this. You can also just draw these by hand here. As you can see, I'm just drawing them by hand before we roll into the B clips and the final look of Lilo here on the side of the tumbler there. Very simple bubbles, but just add a little bit of detail to it here and there throughout the process. Now we will also be bringing those bubbles back when we draw a stitch on the opposite side of the tumbler, so make sure you stay tuned for that video. I look forward to releasing that maybe a few days to a week after this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this short clip. Alright everybody, so that's Lilo from Lilo and Stitch, the second painting on this beautiful swirl tumbler for my daughter's Teacher Appreciation Week. Again, this is a gift for her for Teacher Appreciation. So the next project we're going to do on this is going to be Stitch. I've already got the body kind of laid out here, and we're going to go ahead and turn around and start painting it as well. It will be a separate video here on this little playlist, or you can find it under my acrylic painting playlist there on my YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, guys, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.